Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle two workplace buzzwords that you've probably heard a lot about, but get this. They sound similar, but they are worlds apart. Quiet quitting and quiet cracking.
So let me just ask you something to get us started. Think about your job right now. Are you just working, just going through the motions, or are you actually thriving? It's a really important question, and honestly, it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, you've seen these terms all over the place, right? But here's the critical thing so many people miss. They are not the same thing, not even close. And understanding the difference, well, that's absolutely key, whether you're an employee, a manager, or a company leader.
Okay, so first things first, let's break down what each of these terms actually means. Because while they both signal that something is wrong, the stories they tell about employee disengagement couldn't be more different. All right, let's start with quiet quitting. This is when an employee basically just mentally checks out. They haven't handed in their resignation, but they've definitely stopped going the extra mile. They do exactly what's required of them, and that's it. It's almost always a reaction to feeling completely burnt out, unappreciated, or just undervalued. Now, quiet cracking. This is a whole other ballgame. This isn't passive. It's an active, intense, internal struggle. The employee is dealing with some major stress, and they're getting dangerously close to a breaking point. You can think of it like a silent scream for help that's about to become very, very loud. And this little comparison just nails the difference, doesn't it? With quiet quitting, the mindset is basically, I'm done, I'm checking out. The action is pulling back to the bare minimum. But with quiet cracking, the mindset is a desperate, I am crying out for help here, and the action is an exhausting, active struggle just to keep their head above water. So one is a withdrawal, and the other is a crisis waiting to happen. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds like an individual problem. But these things never, ever happen in a vacuum. They create these massive ripple effects that can spread through an entire organization. So let's talk about that impact. It's actually fascinating and kind of scary to see how this damage just cascades. For the employee, it can be a slide from feeling disillusioned into being completely overwhelmed and anxious. For the team around them, morale just plummets, and you can feel the tension in the air. And here's the part that's really crucial. Look at how managers often misread the situation. They might see a drop in capability when it's really a person in deep distress. That's a huge disconnect. So, the million-dollar question is, how do you spot this stuff before it blows up? The next step, and it's a critical one, is learning to read the warning signs for both.
With quiet quitting, the signs are often like a slow fade. You start to notice this gradual decline in performance. Deadlines that were always met are suddenly slipping. You know that person who used to have all the great ideas in meetings? All of a sudden, they're silent. It's this general shift into negativity or just pulling away.
But the signs of quiet cracking, they tend to be way more sudden, more alarming. We're talking about clear behavioral changes. Maybe they're suddenly irritable all the time, or they've completely withdrawn socially. And it's so important to get this. If that slow fade of quiet quitting is ignored for too long, it can absolutely escalate into the sharp, immediate crisis of quiet cracking.
Okay, so identifying the problem is huge, but it's only half the battle. So what do we actually do about it? Let's get into some real, actionable solutions, both for employees and for the leaders who are there to support them.
If you feel like you're heading down one of these roads, the very first step is to just self-assess. Take a breath and ask yourself, what's really going on here? What's the root cause? Then, and I know this can be tough, you have to communicate. Talk to a manager you trust or go to HR. And finally, please seek support. Whether it's a mentor, a group of peers, or professional counseling, you do not have to go through this alone. And for all the leaders out there, listen up. The responsibility here is to build a place where these problems can't just fester in the dark. That means fostering real, honest dialogue with regular one-on-ones. It means actively recognizing people's work and training yourself and your team to spot these signs of distress. And most importantly, it means providing real, tangible resources, from mental health support to actual opportunities to grow. You know, when you boil it all down, it really comes back to this one powerful idea. Being proactive here isn't just about putting out fires. It's about building a fundamentally healthier, more engaged culture where people can actually thrive, not just survive. So I'll leave you with this one last question to really think about. Is your workplace a place that fosters engagement, or is it a place that just demands silence? The answer to that question really can make all the difference. Thanks for joining me for The Explainer.